Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Development Dialogue Show. Today we are in Bristol, attending the United Nations Bristol meeting on faith and sustainable development goals at the Bristol Marriott Royal. It's the 9th of September. The Sustainable Development Goals is based on, there will be summit on Sustainable Development Goal in September, end of September in New York, at which the Sustainable Development Goals and post-2015 development agenda will be adopted, and it represents a great opportunity, particularly for the faith communities, more so for the Muslim communities, to play a role and contribute before the United Nations agrees a next 15 years program of collective development of the globe. At that meeting, there are prominent Muslim politicians, Muslim NGO leaders gathered. Amongst them, there are two prominent leaders with whom we will be talking. With me on the left is Professor Dr. Din Syamsuddin. Welcome, Brother Din Syamsuddin. Professor Din Syamsuddin was the president of Muhammadiyah, one of the largest Muslim institutions. And Syamsuddin is currently the chairman of Muhammadiyah and chairman of Indonesian Council of Ulama. He is also the chairman of Center for Dialogue and Cooperation Among Civilizations and a professor of Islamic Political Thought at the National Islamic University, Jakarta. Most welcome, Brother Syamsuddin.
Assalamu alaikum.
And the second is Brother Fachruddin Mangunjaya. So it's difficult for me to. He works for the National University in Indonesia, Jakarta. And Fachruddin is the vice chairman for the Center of Islamic Studies at the universities. He has obtained his PhD in Environmental Management and National Resources from Bogor Agricultural University. Most welcome to the show. Professor Syamsuddin, if I can begin with you, please tell us about Muhammadiyah and what it does in Indonesia. It has been quite a well-established organization, quite old.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, I'm delighted to be here in the United Kingdom as well as Bristol, the European green city. Muhammadiyah is indeed an Islamic organization, but it's a cultural movement. It's the oldest organization in Indonesia, established in 1912. It's a cultural movement in the sense of our option is to strengthen the cultural base within the society by providing what we call it modern and moderate Islam. We run schools. We have 14,000 schools.
14,000.
Elementary to high schools, and about 192 high learning institutions, including universities and colleges.
192.
And about 500 hospitals and clinics. Dozen hundred of orphanage, microfinance institution, and many other institutions. In the framework of, we call it enlightenment da'wah, tanwir, ad-da'wah at-tanwiriyah. And basically, Muhammad is a civil society organization. We don't have a relationship to any political party. We give freedom to our members to join any political parties, but we engage in what we call it moral politics. That's to instill Islamic moral ethical values in our national life.
So it's a vast organization with
Alhamdulillah.
With hundreds, thousands of schools, universities.
No, 14,000.
14,000 schools and 192 higher institutions, including universities. And how many hospitals you said?
491.
491 hospitals.
Big and small.
It's a government within a government, it looks like.
Yeah, we are older than the government, established before the independence. We have a thick part in the struggle for the independence and the creation of the state.
Right. So tell me how is your feeling this consultation meeting in Bristol with regard to the sustainable development?
It's a good one because of the environmental crisis. Is the great challenges to all human beings, regardless of their faith, their ethnicity, their profession, and even political affiliation. And therefore, we need to work together to solve the very problem. From this Bristol meeting, I learned very much on the best practices and experiences from other faith communities, as well as I can see that there are still problems, yeah, and therefore we need to address these problems to the UN and also to our respective government, and especially we need to bring about the Islamic perspective on the problem solving of the sustainable development, climate change, and global warming.
Thank you. Brother Fachruddin, tell us about your university and your lifelong effort on the sustainable development agenda.
Thank you. I am a professor at National University of Indonesia, as vice chairman of Center of Islamic Studies. But ever since I've been, before joining the university, I was an activist. I'm joined several NGOs, organizations affiliated with conservations and environmental movement. I also trained as the climate leaders, as one of the voluntary leaders to speak to community for the climate change, trained by Al Gore in the Climate Reality Project. And before that, I have my own passion because I was born in closely in Kalimantan with the area which is forest still exists, and the beautiful of the tropical rainforest still there. And so later on, I realized that nature is going very fastly disappear because of the human existence and the needs of the economy and many things that can degrade the nature. Soon I learned so many interfaith dialogues, and also I'm myself learning from the Islamic perspective, writing some books. And from that experience, I am thinking of why not join university to see the knowledge and to increase the knowledge on Islamic perspective.
So what is your experience so far at this Bristol dialogue we took up before the SDG summit in New York?
I'm thinking that this Bristol dialogue is challenging for all the faith together, because this planet is now challenging with so many crises, including the climate crisis, and this faith group can be shared together, coming from the coming out from the crisis. Faith group have their own experience far before the civilizations and the state, far before UN. So UN is also would like, I think, would like to learn how this faith still insists with this 85 or 85% people still believe with as faith, including 1.6 billion Muslim in the world. That's why the movement like the encyclical of Laudato Si, and later on our declaration on climate change, Islamic climate change, or Islamic declaration on global climate change that declared last 2 weeks ago in Istanbul, is really a trigger and meaningful for our movement, for the further life of this planet.
Excellent. Brother Syamsuddin, what is your view about how can faith communities really assist the United Nations in achieving such an ambitious sustainable development goal, 17 of them? How do you see, because you represent the largest Muslim nation on earth?
Yes, one good thing is that the UN has begun to pay attention to the faith group, to religion, and the importance and determinant role of religions, of faith, to the solving of all many problems of the world. Okay. And the last one, that the UN Sustainable Development Solution Network has included figures from religious communities as members of the Leadership Council, which we met on the 24th of September this month in New York.
You are going there in New York?
Yes, inshallah. So, because of the population of the world, more than 50%, or maybe 60 to 70% are religionists, are believers in various belief and faith. So there is a need to utilize the importance and determinant factor of religion, but religions cannot work alone, should be in collaboration, because this very problem is problem of human being and humanity, and different religions, despite their differences in theology, especially in the concept of God, like between Islam and Christianity, and also other natural religions, but they may have a meeting of mind in the issue of humanity, because religion is from God for human being and humanity. Yes. I understand Lillahi Ta'ala, Lillahi Rabbil Alameen in Islam. It's not for God only, but also for human being.
The whole creation.
Yeah, the whole creation. And therefore, we may have kind of a shared ethical values between various faiths to share our common responsibility, because we have one destiny and one humanity.
Excellent. I mean, which SDG do you think is the most critical in tackling poverty? Because there are 15 years that we have made a plan that to end poverty, because on the Millennium Development Goal, the target was half the poverty level. And this ambitious plan that there will be no poverty at all in 15 years down the line. So which SDG do you think is the most critical for tackling
I think the
poverty?
whole 17 item of the SDGs and 8 item of the MDGs are very important.
All of them.
But above all, we need responsibility. And the global injustice, imbalance appearing in the world today, in the human life, because of there is no justice, because there is global injustice. And therefore, we need to support, in addition to right, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. There should be Universal Declaration of Human Responsibility. And this is Islam. Islam maintains a balance between rights and responsibility. At-tawazun bain al-hukuk wal-wajibat wal-mas'uliyat. So, sharing responsibility, not only the religious people, but also the government, political leaders, they must show their responsibility, and by sharing this responsibility, we may work in many fields to solve the problem.
Brother Fachruddin, do you see what are the most critical item?
I'm thinking that all that 17 goal of the SDG is interlinked together, because of you cannot avoid, you cannot go to the goal second, for example, if you are not going with the issue of properties. Up to the 17, that is the 17 goal, the means of implementation, which is you should mobilize people. You should, you need to involve all the sectors in a various level of awareness, for example. Then faith group is very important in that sector. So that's why I'm thinking that it is interlinked together, which is also the humanity goals as a whole, and our dream of life.
I mean, if you say that by the time we have just started this interview, around 30 children died due to waterborne diseases. Every 20 seconds, a child is dying. I mean, what can the conscious world do to avert this tragedy? This is a preventable. What can we do? I mean, we talked about 17 goals, and I know you mean all 17 of them are equally important.
Well,
I give you one example of this waterborne diseases, which is killing children.
Yeah.
every 20 seconds one of them.
Of course, we have priority between our sector. I mean, if you determine that 17 goal, and they have target in it, which is 100 of them, which is should be drawn by any technical implementations goal as a plan of action, something like that. But for the something like the most urgent for humanity is must be tackled without reserve. We should jump to that. I think, for example, now with the crisis of refugees, people die for without help. We should tackle that crisis because that a human. How we can achieve that sustainable goal if we are not taking that issues also. Yes. So all nations have.
I think that's Syamsuddin's concept of responsibility.
Yeah, responsibility.
And commitment cannot be achieved if people are not.
Yeah, we should put all the 17 goals and the SDGs as top priority.
Yes.
And many others, but without emphasizing responsibility and also the characteristic of sustainability. Maintain kind of from Islam that sustainable development with meaning, sustainable development with equity, to put justice and responsibility. Otherwise, 17, 20 or 50 goals of SDGs cannot be implemented without emphasizing this very principle.
So I just have one common question to both of you in regard to there are millions of mosques. I'm just on statistics, in Bangladesh there are approximately 400,000 mosques. Indonesia may have 800,000 mosques. So millions of mosques. Mosques are not fully aware of these issues developing. Huge number of people, if you consider millions of, even billions are going to the mosque regularly. How do we engage mosques in the journey of United Nations? Because faith communities as a whole, mosque is the center of Islamic activities.
Mosque is only instrument to our very sacred cause and struggle, but most importantly is how to transform our understanding of religion by bringing new theological perspective that Islam is for human being and humanity, and we need to perform, in addition to Iman, faith, Islam, worship, ihsan, in engaging in good activities to restore the earth, the planet Earth, and therefore mosques and other religious institutions among the Muslims should be utilized as instrumental. And this time, there is a time for the Muslims to make the mosque is not only center for worship, but also center for culture and civilization, as the starting point for our movement for the green world through green education, green culture, and this is Islam, which emphasizes very much rahmatan lil alamin, to spread mercy and peace to the universe.
Thank you. Brother, what is your comment on the engaging of the mosques?
If we see mosque philosophically, why mosque is established? Our Prophet Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, starting with the mosque of Quba, which is gathering, there the Jama'ah to concentrate to religion with the mission. So we have this kind of asset, 800,000 all over Indonesia. We have the mosque organization, Dewan Masjid Indonesia, for example. And we have also the MUI, Islamic Council of Indonesia, of Ulama of Indonesia, which is with their wisdom can work together to
bring the issues.
Is in any kind of implementations, awareness.
So that the khutbah, the preaching should not only on the paradise, but also on the climate change, on global warming, sustainable development with meaning, and this should be new tendency orientation of our mosque.
Thank you. We are coming to an end to the program. Before we end, Brother Syamsuddin, do you have any message for the European Muslim viewers? Final message.
If I may convey the message, hope to the Muslims in Europe as the continent of the future, and there is increasing number of Muslims, to perform as Muslim. Ishhadu bi anna muslimun. Please bear witness, perform to the world that we are Muslims. And also the very characteristic of Islam and the Muslims is the people of the middle way, ummatan wasata. Wa kadzalika ja'alnakum ummatan wasata. We have been created as the people of the middle way, yeah. Litakunu syuhada 'alan nas, so that you can bear witness to the world, to the Europe, that we are Muslims as a modern and moderate Muslims.
Thank you, brother. Professor Fachruddin, have you got any message? Final message.
As a Muslim, I'm instructing myself in practically the doing good as a Muslim is very important. And as we will quote Surah Ar-Rahman, Hal jaza ihsan ilal ihsan. If you're doing good, you will be getting any good. So I think as good Muslim, we should doing good in this life, and whatever we are, with whatever position, academia, just lay people, we have to doing good for this life. Inshallah. Fabi'ayyi ala'i rabbikuma tukazziban. So we come to that end of the life.
Thank you, gentlemen. Dear viewers, we have come to the final end of the program today, and we have spoken to two prominent Muslim scholars from Indonesia, came all the way to attend the UN dialogue and talk at Bristol. Inshallah, we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.